Elsa and Meili, the assassin sisters' dark diary, killed too, oh ho ho ho. It was a laugh that embraced a dark, seductive air. The voice was clouded with pleasure and trembled with excitement it could not conceal. That feeling showed through not only in the voice, but also in the spring in her step. She was a beautiful young woman who wore her black hair long. Her hair was bundled into a braid, and a violet hair ornament somehow completed an impression of danger. The black clothing she wore exposed the lines of her voluptuous body, and its mere existence held a devilish charm, wrapped in thick seductiveness. She was a goblet of poison that one couldn't help but reach out for, even knowing the painful results. That was the true nature of this enticing beauty, and she was a danger beyond compare to any man. But, will you stop it with that obnoxious laughter, please see? Do you want me to get Ma Di? It had absolutely no effect on the girl, long since used to looking at the beauty, and now sending her a disapproving glare. The girl was still young, perhaps 11 or 12 years old. Just like the beauty, her hair was braided, and along with a lovely appearance appropriate for her age, she held just a little bit of a glamour that didn't match her age. Her name was Meili Portrout, and although she was still a long ways from being irresistibly charming, she was a beautiful girl that made one think of her future potential to captivate men. However, that was a hope seen by looking several years into the future, and not a glimpse of it could be seen in her form now, as she puffed out her cheeks in disapproval. The beauty walking next to Meili seemed to feel the same way. Even if you hold your breath to try to frighten me, I can't see it as the least bit scary. It's just that, despite being a girl, Elsa, you're far too cheerful. How can you go hiking in the dark like this, with such a calm face, I woe endure? It's just unbelievable. You, on the other hand, have too little stamina for someone of your age, I suppose. That's what you get for always depending on your pets, you know. A little walking would do you good. Speaking with a face devoid of malice and shrugging, the beauty, Elsa, suggested that to Meili. With a weary look showing through on her youthful face, she replied, "Why have you been seeming so cheerful for the last while? Before this, you came to help me, didn't you, Meili? I'm just amused that this time our positions are completely reversed. Don't be upset." HMF, you've really got a terrible personality, Elsa. That's a very unexpected opinion indeed. As Meili criticized her loudly, Elsa tilted her head as though mystified. Exchanging that sort of bumpy conversation, the two of them proceeded along a steep mountain path. After all, the two of them were currently in the middle of crossing the mountains to make their escape. The reason that the two of them, Elsa and Meili, were crossing the mountains, in the dead of night no less, was simple. After messing up a job, they were fleeing from hostile pursuers from a concerned party. Because of that, the two of them were pushing their way along an animal trail, in clothing that wasn't suited to hiking. I wonder, why is it you look like you're having such a good teamie? It was difficult to see her in the dim light, as Meili caught her breath, hands on her knees. At the reproachful voice of the girl, Elsa, with a calm expression, touched a finger to her lips. And with Meili reflected in eyes dark enough to make one think of pitch black, she gave a charming smile. I said, didn't it? It's just amusing that we're in exactly the opposite position we were that other time. Also, after so long, I was able to be a big sister to you again, so perhaps I was a bit pleased about that too. Even if you hadn't come, Elsa, I could have taken care of it by myself. You could have crossed these steep mountains by yourself. Or perhaps you had some other means of escape arranged. If so, I'm sorry to have bothered you. HMF. Even though they were speaking sarcastically, Meili frowned without real ill will. That Meili had been saved by Elsa's actions was irritating, but nevertheless a fact. This time around, the job given to Meili was to bring chaos to the mansion of a certain noble. Without going into details, Meili did her best with the skills she possessed. To tell the truth, playing around a bit while working was a bad habit of hers, and she did a little of that this time, too. That the part where she'd been playing was related to the failure of the job was something she couldn't deny. It looks like the Cursies died because of that, too. It was all really you and lucky. Meili, I'm tea-red. A break, let's take a break. Idly wrapping her hair around a finger, Meili sat down on a nearby fallen tree. Not taking her to task for her lackadaisical attitude, Elsa stood near the fallen tree and joined her in resting. The cursies got burned up, it looks like. That magic, were you watching it to oh? Yes, though it was just a quick glance. I've heard about that. The strongest magic user in the kingdom, an eccentric man who has mastered all types of magic. For someone that great, he's pretty weird, HM. Having said that, Meili agreed with the opinion. She only saw him for a fleeting moment, but that magic user was flying through the sky and hurling balls of fire into the forest like rain against that. The cursies never stood a chance. Well, doesn't that strange guy play into your tastes? You have a weakness for strong people, Elsa, do-n't you? Oh my, that makes me sound like a flighty person indeed. My hobby is simply beautiful bowels. They just happen to be more common among strong people. Yeah, Sue. Even with it pointed out to her, it wasn't a difference that seemed to Meili like it mattered. Sadly, magic users don't really tug on my heartstrings. It must be that the way they train is different from warriors, indeed. From my experience up to now, opening the belly of a magic user just isn't that interesting. But someday, I'd like you to pay that weirdo boss CK. If that doesn't happen, then I'll just feel too bad for all the cursies that de-ed. All the witch beasts were ones you picked up during the mission this time, weren't they? Did you grow fond of them? Not all. I just wanted to saw why that. Meili was simply saying it because it costs nothing to say, and as she nodded, Elsa's expression showed she understood. Well then, leaving all of your regular friends behind was just for fun. Sometimes I just feel like pretending to be a normal GRL. What do you think? Does it look all right? Lightly touching her hair, she grasped the skirt of her outfit. Unlike her usual outfit, this gave something closer to the impression of a village child's clothing, simple and without a hint of decoration. She was fairly proud of her work herself, but Elsa responded to the query with an indifferent, yes. The outfit you're always wearing is cuter, isn't it, perhaps? I'm not asking if it's cute or not, am I? Does the look suit me or no tea? Your hair, too. I think your natural color looks better than when it's dyed. Elsa, you're really not the sort that listens to what someone is saying, array you. At Elsa's left-field critique, Meili sighed sulkily. The exchange between them looked like their age difference was completely reversed, but for the two of them, this was business as usual. It's not that they were best friends with each other, and not that they understood each other's nature, either. Despite that, they had something that could be called trust. It was that sort of pseudo-sisterly relationship. Speaking of which, when we were talking about the strong and the weak, I remembered something. Wati. You remember we were talking about it at the Capitol, right? While I was waiting, I'd do some knitting or something. Saying that, Elsa tossed something this way. Catching it reflexively, Meili found it was cotton stuffed into soft cloth, a plush doll, handmade by Elsa. Flawlessly reproducing a familiar form, with red hair and white skin, and a sword at its waist, Meili was, as always, impressed by Elsa's skill. No W is something I might ask, but this is. It's the Sword Saint. I think it's quite well done myself. That's thanks to the sight of him being burned into my eyes. And that despite that you were almost killed. You really are a strange girl, Elsa. Under the circumstances, Meili could only snort and hug the doll to her chest. After that, she swung her legs around a little, until Elsa suddenly turned her back towards Meili. Still with her back turned, Elsa squatted down and noted quickly, now then. What's this? Your feet hurt too much to walk on, don't they? You don't have to hide it or try to tough it out. You must have simply had bad shoes. We need to get across the mountain, before it gets worse. Meili groaned softly at the throbbing pain in her feet. What? It's just that doing exactly what Elsa says isn't much fuen. Snapping her gaze away, Meili heaped her dissatisfaction on Elsa's back with a sulky mood. In truth, the fact that Elsa was here at all was a source of dissatisfaction for Meili. After the previous job, Elsa should have been headed to a safe house for recuperation. It wasn't out of kindness, but contempt, that she was here now, coming to assist Meili. The fact that she had foreseen her failure and come running to help her get away was what made it so. That's pre-TTY conceited, even for you, Elsa. Would you stop talking like a little child already and get on? HMF. Staying in the mountains and being bitten by bugs isn't much fun either, is it? If you can control even the bugs, that's another matter, though. Fine knee. Fussing wouldn't solve anything, so Meili decided to be big about it. Climbing off the fallen tree, this time she clambered up onto Elsa's back. Holding onto Meili's legs, Elsa stood back up. I hope you'll carry me nicer than the rough ride that Shadolian gives, Ari GHT. Courteously, then. I'll be sure to do my best. Responding thus, Elsa began to run, accelerating all at once, as though trying to outrun the wind. Too fast, too fast, too fast, I said. Cut it out, Elsa. Only Meili's shrill cry lingered for a while in the dark of the night. 3. Elsa, stop. When Meili whispered that to Elsa, more than 10 minutes had passed since she began running. Up until now, she'd yelled at her to stop countless times, but Elsa, who had never shown a hint of stopping until now, halted. It was due to the emotion packed into the voice, most likely. In truth, this call wasn't playing around. It was a necessary stop. The proof of that was, it looks like they're all around us indeed. Having stopped, Elsa whispered this back to the hostility stabbing towards them from all sides. As if to prove those words, the sound of something being stepped on came from the brush, and it shook. And what showed itself from the brush was a black-bodied, red-eyed, four-legged beast. It's a Kersey survivor, Ma-Ib. Looking over the top of Elsa's back, Meili's eyes went round as she saw the beast. The fiercely growling black witch beast was the same as the ones she'd employed half a day earlier, and that she'd thought had been wiped out. One from another pack, or maybe a survivor that hadn't been hunted down, and had fled deep into the mountains, perhaps. The Cursidogs were not limited to that one alone. Other points of light mixed into the shadows were glaring at the pair of them. Their numbers weren't that great, but if there were survivors, that simplified things. Shall we finish them off? Don't say such uncivilized thigh, NGS. If I'm here, they won't CK. Don't worry about that, just let me talk to the M, smacking the back of Elsa's head for being hostile. She instead urged her to get closer to the Cursidog. Elsa followed the order obediently, walking right next to the wary beast. The Cursidog had shown itself, but it was unable to determine what to do in regards to Meili's presence. The blessing held by Witchbeast user, Meili caused Witchbeasts to obey her. To them, Meili's presence, just like the horn on their forehead, provoked an instinct that was difficult to disobey. This time, both of us had bad CK, but even if you return to your territory now, that scary magic user will just hunt you all do WN. So for now, it would be wiser to hide in the Mu Entains. Once the pack's numbers are restored, you can take back your territory from the other mob beasts. Sometimes it's important to just quietly endure things, W. Elsa, you understand that too, right GHT. It's no fun being given a lecture along with the witch beasts. At Elsa's sulky tone, Meili's bravado diminished a little. Then, the witch beast that had been silently listening to Meili's words silently turned on its heels and disappeared back into the brush. Just like that, the rest of the pack moved away, and the witch beasts once again melted back into the night. You didn't tell them to get revenge, did you? Even though, if it was you ordering it, the entire pack would fight until they were wiped out. A witch beast that has its horn broken will submit to the one that broke it and follow any order. Meili could do essentially the same thing without breaking their horns. Hence, exactly as Elsa said, she could have ordered the Cursidogs to complete the job she had failed at, even knowing it was certain death. However, if I did that, I'd just feel too sorry for the M. I was the one that messed up the job, and I'm the one who has to make up for it pro-Pearly. That's true. I, too, have to get back at the Sword Saint, or I won't ever feel right about it. Also, I don't like it much when you lump me together with you. Watching the witch beasts disappear back into the mountains, Meili let out a well now and lightly tapped Elsa on the back. Between taking breaks and running into the witch beasts, there had been too many interruptions in their mountain crossing. Now I really want to get someplace I can rest properly, Suen. My feet really hurt from my shoes chafing the M. Rub a bit of spit onto them and they'll be fine, I'd think. Perhaps you'd like me to lick them. I'm not Elsa, so they won't get better that EC. Raising her voice at Elsa's absurd sympathy, she was simply amazed from the bottom of her heart by Elsa's unreliability. She'd happened to have helped out this time, but if things continued like this, next time it would be her turn to help out her older sister again. If that happened, she determined that she would ask for a plush Cursidog doll next. Holding the doll her sister had given her close to her chest, Meili decided that in her heart. Elsa, once again running along the mountain paths, accepted her little sister's determination with a faint smile. Even if one thought it was a little rough and twisted somewhere, therein lay their own brand of sisterly relationship. A mutually inconvenient, slightly insane sisterly love that stank of blood between the assassin sisters.